This week on I Watched This as an Adult Movie Reviews, I review the 1995 kids action comedy Three Ninjas Knuckle Up.
What is the perfect movie franchise? Does such a thing truly exist? The License to Watch podcast sets out to answer that age-old question. Join comedians Matt McGregor, Harris McCabe, and Colin Shaw as they dissect your favorite film franchises one movie at a time. Along for the ride is a different film industry guest for every episode. Listen as the boys play judge, jury, and executioner and decide which of your favorite movie franchises are worthy of a license to watch.
You knew that when times got tough,
You were saying before about some reports from a research company. What exactly do these reports say?
It says that there's all kinds of chemicals in the groundwater.
And you have the computer disk that contains all this information?
Yes.
and there seemed no way out,
There's my father. What did you do to him?
they'd be back.
Told you not to hire that Indian in the first place.
We'll help you find your father, Joe.
You will?
Three Ninjas Knuckle Up.
And if that disc shows up at the hearing, you're gonna be dog meat, son.
He's here, all right.
Colt, Rocky, and Tum Tum spring into action.
Tonight.
Tonight? Tonight. Yeah! Come on, come on!
I got you now!
Fire! Fire!
Gotta get the quiver. The disc is in there.
The disc? The disc!
Disc! Get the disc!
I got it! I got it! I don't got it!
The Indian, Jack. The kid's kind of got it. We'll get him, Jack. We'll get him.
And nothing can stop them.
Catch! Aya! Aya!
Kids don't belong here.
And gorillas belong in the zoo.
What? They may be small,
Rocky, you don't drive.
I do now.
That's cool!
but they're dynamite.
This is better than Christmas.
Three Ninjas Knuckle Up.
I love you guys. Oh, and I just took a bath, too.
Three Ninjas Knuckle Up from 1995. Let's talk about the technical. This movie was directed by Shin Sang-ak. I know that sounds like a Mortal Kombat character, but it's a director. The movie was written by Alex S. Kim. There is no budget for this movie, but it bought in a box office of $407,000. That is the total budget it brought in at the box office. $407,000 at the box office. That's how much this movie only made. There is also no Rotten Tomatoes score, so there's pretty much nothing technical to say about this movie. Pretty much, there's more stuff to say, but I'll get into it as I get into the review. But like I said, no Rotten Tomatoes score, no budget. I don't know how much this movie was made for. Like I said, we're gonna get into all of that as we get into the review. So let's get into the review. First off, I remember not even knowing that this movie existed until I saw it on cable. Like, I watched this movie on cable. I didn't even know that it had a theatrical release. It had a theatrical release. It underperformed. It didn't perform as good as the other two Three Ninjas movies. So I guess it was like limited. It was a limited performance. So the way I saw this movie as a kid, I saw it on cable. And this was a movie that was shown constantly at one point in the mid-90s on cable. Like, I want to say I saw this on Showtime or something. And I was already a Three Ninjas fan as a kid, so I watched this movie a lot. I remember having fun with this movie as a kid. Like I said, that's the key, as a kid. But let's see how I feel about this movie as an adult. Like, this is the third installment in the Three Ninjas franchise, but not really. I've already reviewed the first two movies in chronological order, in the order that they were released. But like this one is really weird because originally this movie was supposed to be the second Three Ninjas movie, and the second Three Ninjas movie was supposed to be the third Three Ninjas movie, because they shot this movie in 1992 but released it in 1995, a year after the studio released Three Ninjas Kick Back, which is the second movie but the third movie. If it's confusing to you, it's confusing to me too. Like I said, it confused me as a kid because if you remember, they replaced Rocky and Tum Tum in Kickback with like two new kid actors. And in this movie, the original Rocky and Tum Tum are back. Which makes sense to me now because they shot this movie and the first movie back to back. So that was that, cause so like it was supposed to be the first movie, then Knuckle Up, then Kickback. That was the order it was supposed to go in. I don't know why they flipped it up or switched it up, but this is the order that they went with. But let's get into the plot before we confuse ourselves. Let's get into the plot. There's a landfill boss played by Charles Napier who is dumping toxic waste on a Native American reservation. And the three ninjas reluctantly get involved in stopping this from happening by saving this little Native American girl named Jo. She's played by Crystal Lightning, that is the actress's name. Like I said, the original kids are back. Michael Trainer returns as Rocky, which I want to say shout out to Michael, by the way. He happened to stumble upon my Three Ninjas review. I think it was the first Three Ninjas, because that's the one he's in. You know, he happened to stumble upon my Three Ninjas review, and he liked it and kind of like shouted me out a little bit. So shout out to Michael, by the way. The kid that played Rocky actually liked my Three Ninjas review. So shout out to Michael. I just wanted to shout out to him because he shouted me out. Max Elliott Slade is back as Colt, and Chad Power is back as Tum Tum. Victor Wong also returns as Grandpa Tanaka, but I will get into his character later. I got a whole segment about Grandpa Tanaka. Don't worry. like I said, this movie is very different from the other two movies because you can tell that they didn't have the budget for this one. So this one shot more like a low budget martial arts revenge movie. It reminds me of one of those Cynthia Rothrock movies from the early 90s. It reminds me of China O'Brien. You know, when you got these horrible bad guys that run a small town, and you have this small town hero that stands up to them. That's what this movie is. It's Walking Tall for kids. Is pretty much what this movie this movie is. They made Walking Tall for kids is what this is. They really don't waste any time getting into the action, and there's some pretty good fight scenes in this movie actually. I don't even know if I talked about in the last two reviews that I did, because I reviewed the other two movies. If you haven't seen them, go see them, or go listen to them. I don't think I talked about in the other two reviews how skilled these kids are at fighting. They're really good fighters. And I know that the kids that played Rocky and Colt, like, they're real martial artists. I don't know about Tum Tum. The kid that played Tum Tum, I don't know about his martial arts background, but I know the kids that play Rocky and Colt, they got a martial arts background. I think they found the kid, Michael Trainer. They found Michael Trainer in a martial arts dojo, and they gave him the role. That's how he got the role of Rocky. They found him in a martial arts dojo. But the kid that plays Colt, like, he's an actor, but he also knows martial arts. I don't know about Tum Tum, like I said. I don't know if that kid has any martial arts background, but he's mostly there for comedy relief anyway. Like, he's like supposed to be. Let's not kid ourselves, man. They're supposed to be the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Is what they are. Rocky is Leonardo. Colt is Raphael. Tum Tum is Michelangelo. I guess if they had a fourth brother that was smart, it would be very obvious that they were trying to copy the Ninja Turtles, but they're the Ninja Turtles. You know, that's what they're supposed to be. So Tum Tum is Michelangelo. He's pretty much there. He'll throw a punch or a kick every now and again, but he's just to show you that he knows how to fight too, just like Michelangelo in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, he'll throw a punch or a kick just to let you know, like, yeah, he can fight too, but like, he's mostly there to crack jokes and be comedy relief. That's what Tum Tum is. This movie still has some silly moments because the bad guys are complete idiots. Because it's a movie for kids, like it has silly sound effects. Like, every time the bad guys get hit, like, it sounds like a Looney Tunes cartoon or something like that for the most part. Which I hate those sound effects because, like, they sound real goofy. Because, like, the kids could fight. Like I said, these kids are really skilled fighters, and it kind of undercuts that they're really good fighters, and the choreography is really good with these stupid ass Looney Tunes sounds. You know, I guess they were like, we don't want it to be too violent because, you know, parents are going to complain. But yeah, I hate those sound effects. Side note, I don't know if I ever said this in the other Three Ninjas reviews. If I did, excuse me. I'm going to repeat myself. But I always thought that the kid that played Colt looked like a male Jamie Lee Curtis. He looks exactly like Jamie Lee Curtis. Like, in the face. Like, I've always said that about that kid. I was like, that kid looks like a male Jamie Lee Curtis. Like, he looks like he could be her son. Like, he looks like he could be Jamie Lee Curtis's kid, because he looks exactly like her. And, like, I'm looking at him in this movie. I was like, because, like, I'm looking at him in this movie. I was like, my God, he looks like Jamie Lee Curtis. He looks like he looks like a male Jamie Lee Curtis that could kick your ass. That's what he looks like. But like I said, he could be her son. If they said that he was the son of Jamie Lee Curtis, I would have believed you, because he looks exactly like her. And it's weird. It's so weird. There's one point in this movie, because, like, there's a fight scene that they have. It's like I say, really good fight scenes in this movie. There's a fight scene that they have in a warehouse. Because the kid, the little girl Jo, her dad was kidnapped by the landfill boss, and I think he knows, like, some information that'll stop them from dumping toxic waste on their land, and so they kidnapped him. And so Jo recruits the boys to go save her father. And so they go to save her dad. He's, like, chained up in his abandoned warehouse. And so they go in there and start fighting everybody, and save the dad. And at one point, the bad guys try to burn the kids alive. Like, the kids, like, escape through a sewer. Ninja Turtles. You know, but they escape through a sewer, and, like, the bad guys are like, and the bad guys are just like, hey, let's dump some gasoline down there, light a match, and burn these kids alive. You know, it was very dark. It was a very dark scene. I was like, yo, man, he gonna burn a couple of kids, you know, like, cause like these kids range from the age of like 9 to like maybe 13, you know, from like 9 to 13 years old. And I was like, you gonna burn some kids over some land, you know? It's crazy, man. It's crazy. It was a very dark scene. Let's talk about Grandpa Tanaka now. Let's talk about him. He's kind of useless in this movie. I'm not gonna lie, he's kind of useless. They don't really give him anything to do, and it's sad, you know, because he was a very important character in the first two movies. Like, the first two movies are really about Grandpa Tanaka, and the kids are kind of, you know, in the background, because like it's always something like happening with Grandpa Tanaka and the kids, and like it just like comes back to haunt the kids. Cause like Grandpa Tanaka was into some dirty. I don't want to say he was into some dirty shit, but he was into some shit. You know, if you remember the first one, like he trained that guy Snyder, and that guy turned out to be like a goddamn weapons dealer or some shit. You know, like an arms dealer, and he wanted Grandpa Tanaka to train his men, and Grandpa's like, nah, I ain't gonna do that. And so he kidnapped. That's when he tried to kidnap the boys, or he kidnapped the boys. And like the first movie is really like an escape movie. It's like the kids escaping from this like, I think they're on like a boat. They were like escaping this boat in the first movie, and like it's the kids fighting their way out of the boat, you know. And then the second one, like, Grandpa's in trouble again. He's got this other guy, this other mob boss that wants to kill him when he goes to Japan. And so like the boys got to go to Japan to stop the mob boss from killing Grandpa Tanaka. So they got to go to Japan to save him from the mob boss. And it's like a whole bunch of stuff with Grandpa Tanaka. But this time, like, it's really not about the grandpa. It's really not about Grandpa Tanaka. He really doesn't have anything to do in this movie. I don't think he fights in this movie. No, he does fight. He does fight. Like, Grandpa has a fight scene in this movie. It comes out like it comes like towards the middle end of the movie. It comes there because there's this random dance routine that the kids do with the Native Americans. Like, it's so out of place, and it just randomly comes out of nowhere. I don't know if they were trying to make this popular, like do the ninja Native American dance. I don't know what they were thinking doing this. They were like, cause like it's a dance, and like they doing like some like Rhythm Nation Janet Jackson stuff, but then they throwing like karate kicks in it, and it's very out of place. Like, luckily the bad guys show up and end this corny shit. But like I said, Grandpa shows up and fights off the bad guys. He helps the kids fight off the bad guys. So like he has like one fight scene in the movie, cause like Grandpa needs a fight scene. Grandpa is badass. Grandpa Tanaka is badass, and like he needs to fight. Like, he needs to have something in this movie. So like they gave him that. Another thing, like, they don't give the three ninjas any character development in this movie. Like, I feel like they had character development in the first two movies. Because, like, there was quiet moments in the first two movies where you got to learn about the kids. You got to learn who Rocky was. You got to learn who Colt was. You got to learn who Tum Tum was. You know, like, you got to learn them. They had chemistry as brothers. You know, you got to know them as brothers. You know, and how they clown around and goof on each other and stuff like that. But here, all they do is fight. Like, there's no character development here. Like, there's nothing new going on with the kids. All they do is fight. Like, that's what they're here for. They're here to fight. That's what they do. I guess the best character development is like Colt finally gets a girlfriend. He starts having a thing for Joe. He starts having a thing for Joe, the little Native American girl. Like, so Colt finally gets a girlfriend, which he desperately needed because he's always been the angry one. He's always been the angry one. Like I said, he's the Raphael of the crew. Like he needed something to calm him down, and it's this girl, because like he's not as angry in this one as he is in the first one and the second one. He's not a man, I want to punch somebody in the face, because like Colt was always the one that was down to fight. Like whenever there's a fight going on, he's like, I'm the first one. He's the first one to throw a punch. So like, but like he's not as angry in this one as he is in the first one and the second one. He's not as gung-ho. I mean, like, he's fighting his ass off in this movie. Like, he's always been like the most aggressive fighter out of the three kids. But yeah, and that doesn't stop here, because like there's like one point when like he gets into a slugfest with a grown man. It was like, there's a point I was like, wow, he's like getting into like a real slugfest with a grown ass man. He's like 12 years old. I was like, what the hell? Like 12, 13 years old. I'm like, he's getting into a slugfest with a grown man. But yeah, man, but like he's got this girl to calm him down. So for once, like Rocky isn't getting the girl, because we all know that Rocky is he's the Riz guy. Like, don't leave your girl around Rock. True player for real. That's what I'm saying. But this time he takes a back seat and lets his brother get some. So, because I think there's even like a part where Colt asks Rocky, and he was like, hey Rocky, you like Joe? And he was like, nah, she's not really my type. And he was just like, all right. He was like, I guess she mine. Nah. Good for Colt, man. Colt gets the win, because he always walking around angry, mad at the world, always wanted to punch somebody in the face. So good for Colt, man. This movie is pretty long for a movie that really has nothing going on, because the plot is really paper thin, and like they just pad the script out with just like endless fight scenes. Like there's more fight scenes in this one than there was in the first one and the second one. And the second one, they went to Japan. Might I add, they went to Japan and fought ninjas that work for a mob boss. And there was less fight scenes in that one than in this one. But like in this one, they really got nothing to say. They really got nothing to do. So it's just endless fight scenes. And like I said, the fight scenes are really good. Like, especially for fight scenes involving kids. Like, that's the one thing I could compliment this franchise on. They've always had good fight scenes. They've always had good choreography for a movie franchise that's supposed to be for children involving kids. And like, it's something you don't see anymore. You don't see kids in movies doing martial arts. You don't see it. I guess it's not realistic, because like there was a couple of times I was thinking in this movie, I was like, why don't they shoot these kids? Because there's a couple of times where the bad guys had guns and they don't use them, and they get like a goddamn spinning heel kick to the face. I'm like, you got the gun right there and you just let this kid just flying crescent kick you in the face. It's crazy. But yeah, man, like I said, like that's the one thing I compliment this franchise on. It's just like they've always had good fight scenes in these movies. But there's really nothing else to say about this movie. Like, it's really, really hit or miss. Like, all the characters are one-dimensional. Like, the characters that were fully developed, like I said, like Rocky, Colt, Tum Tum, Grandpa Tanaka. In the first movie and the second movie, very fully developed characters. Here, like, they're just fighting machines. The other adult actors in this movie are terrible. They're fucking terrible. Like Joe's dad. Like, Joe's dad is a horrible actor. Horrible. I'm not gonna say he's a horrible actor. I'm just gonna say I'm not gonna say anybody's a horrible actor. I'm gonna retract that. The way they were directed was terrible. Because an actor is only as good as he is directed. You know, you direct them real good, like turn into goddamn Robert De Niro if you do it. But yeah, man, it's just like there's not a lot to go off of this movie. Like, if you have nostalgia for the Three Ninjas, you can watch this movie. But other than that, I really can't recommend this movie. I really can't recommend it. And like I said, just for the fight scenes, the choreography is dope. I love the choreography. Just for that, I give it a 3 out of 5. Join me next week when I will talk about, this is going to be a fun one, 1993's Super Mario Brothers. Until next time, peace.